Welcome back to the Lifeguardly Podcast. We're diving into Daniel Priestley's world today. He's an entrepreneur and author all about helping others make it big. And get this, he sees some crazy parallels between how business is changing now and major historical shifts.
Yeah, it's wild. Like he compares it to the agricultural and industrial revolutions. Big stuff.
Mhm.
And for him, it all comes down to personal brands, how they're taking over.
You're right. He really believes we're moving away from those massive companies, the big names we all know, and now it's all about the Elon Musks and Richard Bransons of the world. Those individuals, they have the power now.
Yeah.
But what does that even mean for, the rest of us trying to get a business off the ground?
Well, he talks about this young couple he met in Cape Town. They were totally lost trying to figure out how to start a business in this crazy digital age. And he says, their struggles are pretty common these days. The old ways of doing things, they just don't work anymore.
So if the old rules are out the window, what are the new ones?
He says it's all about learning new skills, like how to build a personal brand and how to use these digital business models to your advantage. It's about figuring out how to stand out when everyone's vying for attention. One thing he suggests is actually working for experienced entrepreneurs, almost like an apprenticeship, you
Like
know?
apprenticeship. That's interesting. Kind of like learning a trade, but for the online world.
Exactly. He even says, try tweeting every day. Not just for followers, but to get better at communicating your ideas, to really get clear on what you're about.
I like that. It's like a daily exercise for your business brain.
Mm.
Makes me think of his differentiation framework too. Scary, strange, sexy, free value, and familiar. He actually uses Steve's hat, that hat, to show how being a little strange can actually work in your favor.
Oh, yeah. Makes you remember it, for sure. But seriously, those elements are super important for grabbing attention and building a brand that really stands out from all the noise. But for us, the big question is, how can we actually use all this?
Definitely. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about Daniel's book, Scorecard Marketing. It's packed with useful strategies to get better leads and boost your profits. There's a link in the show description. Check it out if you're ready to really level up your business. Now, going back to standing out, Daniel's a big believer in testing ideas before you go all in. One of his strategies is something he calls the Demo and Customer Needs Analysis product.
Yeah, this is where it gets really practical. It's like you put together this presentation that shows what your product or service can do, but you also include a survey that digs into their needs. Then you sell this package to potential clients. So you're giving them valuable information, but also getting crucial data to make your offering even better.
That's smart. You get to test the waters without diving in head first. And I love how he used the example of a new coffee brand, saying how important it is to target the retailers, not just the people drinking the coffee.
It's all about knowing who really calls the shots in your market and figuring out how to appeal to them.
Couldn't agree more. And he's got another clever trick for testing book titles. Instead of writing the whole book first, he uses different titles as Facebook ads and sets up waiting lists to see what gets people excited. Low cost, but you get some serious data.
It's like market research on autopilot. And knowing your market ties directly into his idea of the entrepreneur sweet spot. That's where your passion, what you're good at, and what people are willing to pay for all come together. Like a Venn diagram.
Totally makes sense. Passion's great, but it won't pay the bills, and just chasing money can lead to burnout. It's about finding that balance. One thing that surprised me, though, was his view on location. He thinks it's becoming less and less important these days.
Yeah, he sees opportunity as being more about, like, your mindset than where you're physically located. And in this new world, he sees two main types of businesses thriving, what he calls lifestyle boutiques and performance businesses.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference?
Think of lifestyle boutiques as those smaller ventures, like a cute yoga studio or a specialized coaching practice. They focus on a niche and prioritize a good work-life balance and feeling fulfilled. Performance businesses, on the other hand, they're all about scaling up and attracting investors. Bigger teams using technology to grow fast.
So it sounds like he's not necessarily saying everyone should try to build the next big tech giant.
Not at all. He knows those huge companies can be tempting, but they often come with a ton of pressure. He's more about finding that sweet spot where you're making a real impact and building wealth without burning yourself out.
I like that. Success on your own terms.
Yeah.
Now, he talked about this concept that really got my attention, the difference between bell curve and power law opportunities. He says most people are stuck in bell curve situations where there's not much room to grow.
That's true. And to break free, he says you need leverage. Think fame, capital, huge databases, distribution networks, strategic partnerships. It's about finding those opportunities that multiply your impact, not just add to it.
So for our listeners out there thinking, okay, that sounds great, but how do I actually find these power law opportunities? What would he say?
He'd probably say, keep your eyes open. Always be on the lookout for ways to amplify what you're doing and reach more people. Think about collaborating with influencers, building a platform with a loyal audience, or creating a product or service that can easily reach a wider market. It's about thinking beyond the traditional ways of doing things and embracing the potential of this digital age.
And speaking of embracing potential, I want to remind everyone about Daniel's book, Scorecard Marketing. Seriously, it's a must-read for anyone trying to make it in today's business world. You can find the link in the show description. Now, back to Daniel's insights. He's big on defining what he calls the official capacity of your business.
Yeah, this is about focusing on quality over quantity. So instead of chasing endless growth, you decide to really wow a specific number of ideal clients. Like in one of his businesses, they set their official capacity at 100 clients per year. That way they can give amazing service and build strong relationships without getting stretched too thin.
That's a great way to build a business that works for you, not the other way around. He also pointed out this huge opportunity with baby boomers.
Oh, yeah. They've got a big chunk of the spending power, and they're at this point in their lives where things are changing. They're looking for ways to spend their time and money, and are usually happy to pay more for things that really meet their needs.
Sounds like there's a gold mine for entrepreneurs who can tap into that market. Whether it's creating new products or taking over existing businesses, it's all about staying ahead of those demographic trends. And speaking of big trends, we can't ignore the AI revolution.
Totally. Daniel compares it to, like, the early days of electricity. Crazy potential. He even uses an AI bot in his own businesses to analyze video testimonials. Helps his sales team find the perfect examples to share with potential customers.
That's awesome. It's like AI is streamlining things and making the customer experience more personal at the same time.
Exactly. And get this, NVIDIA's got this new supercomputer that's supposed to change how everyone can access and use AI. It's a big deal.
I'm all ears. What's so special about it?
It basically offers insane computing power, but way cheaper than traditional cloud computing. That means even entrepreneurs who aren't tech wizards can now use AI to create innovative products and services.
Game changer for sure. But I bet some of our listeners are feeling a little overwhelmed with all this AI talk. What would Daniel say to them? How should they approach this whole new world?
He'd probably lay out a clear path to go from, like, skilled worker to someone who uses AI to create valuable assets.
Tell me more. Where do you even start?
First, shift your focus from just learning skills to creating intellectual property. Take what, your experience and turn it into things like articles, videos, courses, maybe even write a book.
So it's about taking your expertise and making it something you can share and, make money from. What's next?
Once you've got that intellectual property, use media to reach a wider audience. Build your social media presence, start a podcast, write for industry publications. You get the idea.
Basically become a thought leader in your field.
Exactly. And as you build that audience, you start gathering data, you learn what your target market really wants, and use that to make your products and services even better.
So data becomes like the fuel that drives everything.
Right. And once you've got that foundation, the intellectual property, the media presence, and the data, then you can start exploring the world of software and AI.
Okay, I see how it all comes together.
Yeah.
But what about financial assets? Where do those fit in?
That's the ultimate goal. You leverage AI and software to scale your business and automate the boring stuff, and you end up with a valuable asset you can sell or even take public. It's about building something that generates wealth even when you're not actively working.
It all starts with changing your mindset, going from skilled worker to entrepreneur, innovator, thought leader. And before we move on, I have to mention one more thing. Daniel talks about how important our environment is for shaping our behavior and helping us reach our potential.
Oh, yeah. He tells this great story about learning to dance. He always thought he was a terrible dancer, never imagined himself enjoying dance classes.
So what changed?
He decided to just go for it and try a class. And guess what? He loved it. Just by stepping into a new environment, he discovered a hidden passion.
That's awesome. What's the lesson there?
We often hold ourselves back because of what we think we know or what's happened in the past. But if we open ourselves up to new experiences and challenge our own beliefs, we might just discover hidden talents and achieve amazing things.
It's a good reminder that sometimes all you need is a change of scenery to get those creative juices flowing and reignite your passion.
And it's not just the physical space, you
You
know?
mean like our mindset?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
exactly. The mental and emotional space we create.
The people we hang out with.
That's part of it. It's the people, the information we consume, even the stories we tell ourselves. They all kind of shape how we see things and what we do.
So surround yourself with greatness if you want to achieve great things.
Absolutely. Build a support system that helps you grow and pushes you to be your best.
Daniel actually has some pretty simple tips for like changing your environment. Find a high spot for inspiration or join a group of people with similar goals. He even suggests sharing your dreams in the comments section of this podcast, like building a little community.
That's a cool idea. It reminds us that we're not in this alone. There are tons of people out there with the same goals, and connecting with each other just amplifies everything, creates a ripple effect.
That's what we're all about, helping entrepreneurs achieve their dreams. And speaking of dreams, Daniel had some really interesting thoughts on long-form content, specifically podcasts.
This is where it gets kind of crazy. He actually thinks the 2020 US presidential election was a turning point for marketing. And it all comes down to the power of those long-form podcasts.
Okay, now you've got me curious. Tell me more.
He noticed that Trump, with his whole unconventional campaign strategy, he was on all these long-form podcasts and racked up millions of views. It actually played a big part in his win. Then you had Kamala Harris doing those short scripted appearances, and it just didn't have the same impact.
So what's the takeaways? He's saying everyone needs to start a podcast now.
Not exactly, but what's important is understanding that people are craving something real, something with depth. In a world full of short, flashy content, people want more.
Real conversations, not just sound bites.
Exactly. They want to connect with real people, hear their stories, understand their point of view, and those long-form podcasts, they give you the space to do that.
So it's about dropping the script and letting your personality and expertise shine through. Have those real, unscripted conversations.
Right. And Daniel thinks even CEOs of big companies are starting to see the power of this. He says we'll see more CEOs wanting to be on podcasts like this one, trying to connect with their audience on a human level.
That makes sense. In a world where trust and being genuine is everything, authenticity becomes a major advantage for individuals and brands.
Absolutely. And it all goes back to personal branding. Building a strong personal brand based on being real and knowing your stuff, that's what attracts opportunities, customers, investors, the whole package.
So think outside the box. Go beyond those traditional marketing strategies. Find new ways to connect with your audience in a meaningful way.
And one of the best ways to do that is through storytelling.
Yes, stories grab our attention, make us feel things, and help us understand complicated ideas.
Exactly. Daniel's great at weaving stories into his teaching. It makes everything stick. Like that story about climbing Mount Agung in Bali.
Oh yeah, what was that one about?
He talked about reaching the summit and being so focused on a distant mountain, he completely missed the beauty of the one he was on.
What a metaphor.
Right. It's like we get so caught up chasing those far-off goals, we don't appreciate what's already around us.
It's about being present, appreciating the journey, recognizing how far you've come.
Exactly. And it's especially relevant for entrepreneurs. We're always focused on building the next big thing and forget to celebrate those little victories along the way.
And those small wins can be so motivating. They keep you going, even when things get tough.
Speaking of motivation, Daniel shared some great tips for overcoming fear and that feeling of being stuck that a lot of entrepreneurs face.
What were some of those tips?
One thing he suggests is like productizing your pitch. So basically, you develop a clear, concise, and compelling pitch that you can deliver in any situation, video, podcast, even just a casual conversation.
So always have your elevator pitch ready to go.
Right. You hone those pitching skills, get more confident and persuasive, and it's easier to attract investors, partners, clients, the whole 9 yards.
He also talked about how important it is to put out content regularly. Articles, videos, podcasts, even social media posts. Just keep creating.
He believes that's how you build your brand, establish yourself as an authority, and attract a loyal following.
It's also a great way to clarify your thinking and get your message across. When you put your ideas out there, you have to figure out how to make them resonate with people.
And as you create more content, you naturally build a whole product ecosystem, a bunch of offerings based on your expertise that bring value to your
So
audience.
there's multiple income streams, diversifying your revenue.
Exactly. And as you build that ecosystem, your profile rises, you attract more attention from potential customers, partners, investors. It all snowballs.
A virtuous cycle.
That's it. And as your profile grows, you get more opportunities to collaborate, build a network of strategic partnerships that amplifies everything you do.
So focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Pitching, publishing, productizing, raising your profile, and forming strategic partnerships.
Those are the 5 pillars of becoming a key person of influence, and they're essential for making it in today's digital world.
It's a good reminder that building a successful business isn't just about having a great idea. It's about having a plan, working hard, and being open to new opportunities.
And surrounding yourself with the right people, creating an environment that helps you grow and inspires you to be your best.
You know, Daniel actually told a really inspiring story about his journey into dance to show how powerful our environment can be.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
He was saying how he always thought he was a terrible dancer, had no interest in it at all. But then he decided to step out of his comfort zone and go to a dance class.
And he was hooked.
Totally. He found this passion he never knew he had just by trying something new, immersing himself in a different environment.
It shows how we limit ourselves based on what we think we know or past experiences. If we open ourselves up to new things and challenge those beliefs, we might discover hidden talents and achieve incredible things.
So if you're feeling stuck, a change of scenery might be all you need to get those creative juices flowing and reignite that passion.
And it doesn't have to be a huge change either. Maybe just rearrange your workspace, join a new group, or even listen to a different kind of music. It can shift your perspective and open you up to new ideas.
It's about being deliberate about the environments we create for ourselves, both physically and mentally.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Connect with other people, share your dreams, support each other on this journey.
Daniel's insights are so valuable for anyone trying to thrive in this crazy, fast-paced world. And his book, Scorecard Marketing, gives you a roadmap for building a successful business and making a real impact. You can find a link in the show description.
It's a game changer for sure. Highly recommend checking it out if you're ready to take things to the next level.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something really important to me: health optimization. Daniel actually shared a pretty powerful story about a recent health scare that completely changed how he sees life and success.
Oh, yeah, that was a real eye-opener. What happened?
He got a call from his doctor on Christmas Eve. The doctor said his blood test results showed something that could be serious.
Wow, that's scary.
Definitely. He spent the next week totally stressed out, not knowing what was going to happen.
So what happened in the end?
Luckily, after more tests, it turned out to be a false alarm. He was fine.
Ooh, that's a relief. But I'm sure that whole experience really shook him up.
Absolutely. He said it made him so much more grateful for his health and well-being. Made him realize that all the success in the world doesn't matter if you don't have your health.
It reminds us that we often take our health for granted until something happens that makes us face our own mortality.
And it's a wake-up call to prioritize our well-being, physically and mentally.
So what are some things we can do to optimize our health and avoid those kinds of scares?
Well, Daniel stresses the importance of regular checkups, healthy eating, regular exercise, and managing stress.
The basics, but so important. It's also about finding what works for you and creating a routine you can stick with.
And listening to your body. Getting professional help when you need it.
For sure. We need to treat our bodies with care and invest in our well-being for ourselves and the people who rely on us.
Daniel's story is such a powerful reminder that success isn't just about reaching those external goals. It's about living a fulfilling life, and that starts with taking care of yourself.
And it's especially important for entrepreneurs who are always pushing themselves to the limit.
We need that balance between ambition and well-being. Strive for success, but don't sacrifice your health along the way.
And remember, life is precious and unpredictable. We got to make the most of every moment and appreciate the time we have.
Daniel is full of wisdom and insights. He's got so much to offer anyone trying to navigate this crazy thing called life and find that sweet spot of personal and professional fulfillment.
Now, before we wrap up this episode, I want to share one final thought from Daniel.
Okay, what is it?
He says the most important question we can ask ourselves is, what is the environment that dictates my performance?
That is a powerful question. What does he mean by that?
He's saying, Take a look around at the world you've built for yourself.
Mhm.
The people you're with, what you read and listen to, the habits you've formed, and ask yourself honestly, do they help you grow? Do they help you become the best version of yourself?
So it's about taking control of your surroundings and making choices that align with your goals.
Exactly. We have the power to change our lives by changing our environment.
If you want to change your life, start by changing your environment.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with things that inspire you, seek out new experiences, and connect with people who lift you up and challenge you to grow.
It's so simple, but so true. And it applies to everything, your career, relationships, personal growth. By consciously shaping our environments, we can create the conditions for success and happiness.
It reminds us that we're not just along for the ride. We're actively creating our own reality.
Absolutely. We have way more power than we think. And by understanding how powerful our environment is, we can unlock our potential and create the life we want.
This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the Lifeguardly podcast.
The pleasure was all mine. I always enjoy these conversations, and I hope our listeners found this episode insightful and inspiring.
I'm sure they did. And before we go, I want to remind everyone about Daniel's book, Scorecard Marketing, the 4-step playbook for getting better leads and bigger profits. It's a must-read for anyone who wants to build a successful business in today's world. You'll find a link in the show description.
Absolutely. It's a game changer for anyone ready to take their business to the next level.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Lifeguardly podcast for more inspiring interviews and advice from top entrepreneurs and thought leaders like Daniel. We're here to help you navigate the ever-changing business world and achieve your dreams. Thanks for listening.